Pets Add Life, your guide to the latest in pet trends, products, and the joy of the human-animal bond, with Kristen Laurin and Chris Bonifati, powered by the American Pet Products Association and Dog TV.
And we are back with another wonderful episode of the Pets Add Life podcast. I'm Chris Bonifati. Joining me, as always, is the salacious and studious Kristen Laurin. Kristen, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I love October. I just love it. It's my favorite
It's a great month. I got married that month. It's my dad's birthday this month. Halloween is this month. I love me some Halloween.
Yes.
I'm a big fantasy nerd, so like giving me an excuse to get all like dressed up and dissociate for an entire day.
Are you wearing a costume right now? That shirt is kind of a costume.
Yeah, this shirt actually, shout out to Josh Viteri, who found me at the end of Super Zoo to hand deliver me this exact shirt. Because he was wearing it, and I said, that's an awesome shirt. I need one like that for my podcast. And he, obviously, we were at a trade show. He couldn't give me the shirt off of his back, but he found a way to make it possible later on in the week. So big shout outs to Josh out there. If you're listening, your shirt has finally made it. It's totally my aesthetic. But we'll call it a costume.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll call it a costume. This week, we have some really great guests for you guys. We're going to be talking about some famous dogs,
and talking to a famous dog.
Yeah, which is, it's tough to get out of them. These celebrity dogs, they clam up. They're kind of mysterious. They've got an air of mystique about them. They don't want to, they want to be vague. They don't want to be direct.
You have to go through their people to ask questions.
Go through their people, and it's just always, I hate that. I just want to work directly with the talent. But we're going to be giving you, as always, a great episode with two guests, two stories, two product recommendations, and at the end of it all, we're going to answer two of your questions, and I still cannot believe it is October. So we're going to work straight through that disbelief and start ourselves off with some story time.
Kristen and Chris present Storytime.
I have a story with a really happy ending today.
Okay.
So this is a story about two cats who were both in the same animal shelter in Cullowhee, North Carolina. One kitty, I think his name is Percy.
That's good.
Was very, very shy cat. He spent over 400 days in this shelter. The other kitty is, hold on. Oh, there it is. Winter. The other kitty's name is Winter and was a very outgoing cat. But oddly, even as an outgoing cat, he spent over 500 days in this animal shelter. Well, a couple of weeks ago, both Percy and Winter were adopted together into the same home. And one of the reasons the woman who adopted them chose those two is because, Percy was so shy and Winter was so outgoing. And so she was hoping that they would kind of that would be a nice balance in the home, that they're not both outgoing and competing for attention and they're not both super shy. So Percy and Winter finally got adopted together. And so we wish them the best of luck. And I did want to point out that I believe it was Winter was brought into the shelter, like I said, over 500 days ago as a kitten and was actually shy as a kitten. And it took some time for him to come out of the shell and he became very social, which tells me that the shelter volunteers probably did a really great job of socializing him and working with him. Mm-hmm. But sometimes the kittens that are more, outgoing and vocal are the ones that get adopted first, and the ones that kind of hunker in the back of the cage and are quiet, I guess, visually it might look like something's wrong with them or they're just not very friendly when they really just are probably frightened. So anyway, I'm just super happy to hear that these two cats that have really done a long time in that shelter have a home together now.
Yeah. And shout out to that shelter staff too. That's a long time to be taking care of an animal in a shelter.
Yeah.
So
It is.
Big shout out to all those volunteers and workers who make stories like this even possible.
Mm-hmm. What's your story today?
I've got a fun one. I've got some controversy in the high fashion world. I've got controversy in the high fashion world. So This is a story coming out of Roma, Italia, and Dolce and Gabbana,
Okay.
in all their infinite wisdom, have launched a new alcohol-free perfume for dogs called
What?
Afefe, after
Afefe?
Domenico Dolce's poodle.
Oh, of course.
This has caused an uproar, which I just think is so funny. So this 3.4 ounces is going to run you 99 euros. That's 108 freedom bucks for those of you who aren't going to do the math. And obviously, it's still European Union. They went through all the safe pet cosmetics and all that kind of stuff, all totally above board. But just because something's above board doesn't necessarily mean it's great.
Right.
There's a lot of people who are like, you shouldn't be doing, like, dogs communicate through scent.
Yes.
And there's a lot of vets that are essentially, they're bringing this complaint to the Bureau Veritas Italia. That provides, it's a publicly held company that provides inspection, laboratory verification, and certification services. Kind of like Italy's Better Business Bureau is a good way to think about it. So just this concept that, hey, dogs communicate with scent. If you change the way a dog interprets its scent, you're going to change its behavior. You could confuse other dogs. You could confuse dogs that may be around it often or chase it at the dog park. The dog might end up using the bathroom in the house because its sense of smell is thrown off. And if the fragrance is so overpowering, the reason a dog knows you're like coming to the door, sure, it's the sense of hearing, but it's also they smell you coming. And if that perfume is essentially blocking that sense of smell, it could cause confusion. So there's all of this like, oh, how much harm could it be versus this group of people like, you're ruining animals. And I'm somewhere right in the middle of, I'm not spending $100 on dog perfume.
No.
That's why this one didn't make it into product of the week. It's not because of the controversy. $100 for 3 ounces. Well, I love my dog, but not like that.
You know what this makes me think of, though? This makes me think that it was, do you think it maybe it was just a publicity stunt by Dolce & Gabbana to get some
the product
attention?
is real. It's real.
So,
you can
they
buy
put
it.
a lot
I
of resources into it. Okay.
Yeah, but you're right. Like, these are Italians we're talking about. And I get to say this as an Italian myself. These are Italians we're talking about. They are conniving and they love drama. And they will do something extreme just to cause a kerfuffle. So maybe it is just some clever marketing. But either way, when I was hitting the internet trying to find something to talk about, I saw this and I was like, this is just, whoa.
Well,
these people.
It is it's absurd. I mean, if the only reason you would think to use cologne on your dog is because maybe he doesn't smell good and maybe you just need to give him a bath. Yeah.
Or you're just one of those people who really thinks that your dog is a person.
True.
It's okay to have a personal relationship with your dog, but at the end of the day, they are a dog.
Right.
And they don't use the same stuff we use. And I think sometimes we blur that line a little bit and it's like, yeah, it's a dog. Like, I've talked about like dog beer, which is basically just like bread flavored water.
It's just kind of fun.
The dog doesn't desire beer. He doesn't really want it. You're doing it for yourself. And I feel like this is another animal product where it's like, you're doing it for yourself. The dog doesn't really want this.
Well, it'll be interesting to hear what happens.
Yes, we will be following this one closely. So tune in. Maybe I'll have an update when Dolce & Gabbana gets sued at some point. I don't know. We'll see.
Beyond the Leash, exploring the untold stories of pet passion and professionalism.
All right, joining us now is Janina Laurin, a distinguished judge at the Westminster Dog Show. And Janina brings decades of experience and a profound understanding of the herding group. She hails from Connecticut, and she was born into a family that's passionate about dog shows. And Janina's journey in the world of dogs started out with German Shepherds, but quickly expanded to Belgian Tervuurens, which she has lovingly displayed on her stove behind, or the oven behind her. Since 1999, she's been judging with a focus on the herding group, best in show, junior showmanship, and several working and non-sporting breeds. Let's see. Under the Chateau Blanc kennel name, Janina has bred over 200 champions, including multiple best in show winners and top top performance dogs in obedience and agility. Welcome, Janina.
Hi, nice to be with you today.
Oh, it's great to meet you. You are an esteemed judge, and we've got Chris and I have lots of questions for you. But I thought I'd start out with since you judge the herding group, can you give us some examples of herding group dogs so that some of our listeners who are not as wise
We could
about
just say
that group.
it for Chris because
yeah,
he
okay.
doesn't know.
'Cause
Chris doesn't know.
Okay.
So
Yeah, because Chris doesn't
So
know.
probably the most common two well-known breeds in the herding group are the German Shepherd dog and collies, the rough-coated, long-coated ones, and the smooth collies. And the third, probably most well-known dog is Queen Elizabeth's corgis. So
Oh
there are two
yeah.
corgis in the herding group, the Pembroke corgi, which is generally a docktail, and the Cardigan corgi, which is a little bit longer coated and a little bit heavier. So
Okay.
there are other breeds like my own, the Belgian Tervuren, which there are several breeds of Belgians or varieties if you're from around the world.
Mm-hmm.
And then there are other dogs like the Bouvier and the Briard and the smaller breeds like the Sheltie, which is also very popular as a family pet, the Shetland Sheepdog.
Gotcha.
And the very distinct looking Puli, which is almost typically a corded breed.
yeah,
Gotcha.
all very intelligent dogs too. This herding group.
Yes, the herding group is very intelligent, and that's one of, I think, the hallmarks of working and herding breeds is that they were meant to serve us for the most part as humans in doing tasks throughout history. And to the best that we can in today's modern society, we ask them to do tasks and
Mm-hmm.
things to keep their mind active and primarily as a pet dog to keep them out of trouble at home.
Yes,
Yes.
precisely. Yes, a bored German Shepherd can
Is
be
not a good.
could be a nightmare.
Any bored dog is not good.
So, Janina, when you're judging, what are some of the key qualities you're looking for in a herding dog during these events?
So, as we talked about, the herding breeds are primarily activity dogs. They were meant to do things. And all of those breeds have standards which you're to judge against. That a parent club, which is the host club of that breed, determines what the best German Shepherd is, what the best um, ideal Belgian Tervuren should look like, etc. So we judge against a standard. And some of the things that we look for that are common within the herding breeds is functionality, first of all, because they need to have four good legs. So that they can do their job if that's herding or gathering or driving a herd someplace. And then the other thing is when you look at them, do they look like they're supposed to look like? So if you see four heads of four herding breeds looking over a fence, would you recognize that as a German Shepherd or a Belgian Tervuren or as a collie or as a border collie or an Australian Shepherd? So they need to have a distinct look that identifies them as what they are. And then are they in condition? Are they in working condition? So if asked, would they be able to go out after they're done showing and actually do what they were bred to do?
Chris and I were talking about this before we started the interview, and so Chris and I, they often look all the same. So it must be really difficult in your role to identify the nuances between dogs that to us seem like they all meet the standard, 100%.
Right. So it can be to the novice eye that you easily get confused between, for example, a bearded collie and perhaps a Polish lowland sheepdog, which have somewhat similar colorings, and
Mm-hmm.
an Old English sheepdog, and they're all very distinctly different. So the best thing I could tell someone that's new to the dog show game is pick up a book of dogs. And the AKC has the complete book of dogs, and there are probably several out there at the bookstores. And look on the internet and look on the AKC site and just go under the herding group or whatever breed you're interested in or group you're interested in of dogs, and just look at them and look at the characteristics that might fit with your family or your show goals if you're interested in showing.
And so we've got the Westminster Kennel Club Dog Show coming up this February, and it will be your first time judging the group at Westminster. So you made a bit of a concerned face there, a little word face. Is it this is the big one, right? Is it all at all anxiety inducing to be sort of doing this judging at Madison Square Garden?
Yes. So when I received the letter and it said that it would be back in New York, I guessed it would be back at Madison Square Garden, but I wasn't sure till they actually announced it. And then they announced it, and then I was scared. And I'm like, oh my God. It didn't sound as intimidating if it was going to be in some of their temporary locations, but now that it's in the garden, just the whole thought of it initially frightened me, quite frankly. So, but
But what an honor.
yeah, I know it's an honor, and it's exciting, and there's so much that goes with it. So I'm looking forward to it very much.
Good. What type of prep goes into something like this? I mean, obviously you've been judging for years, you know the breeds extensively, and yet still there's that pang of anxiety in the back of your head doing this on this big stage. So
Right.
how are you going to prepare? What are you going to do to
Right.
get ready? Because I know you're going to do a great job, but how are we going to get there?
So yes, I think all judges, when they get to that point, put on their game face that day.
Yes.
When they enter the center.
Fake
Right.
it till you make it.
Right. So then all the panic disappears, and you're very familiar with what you're doing. So some of the preparation, of course, is personal. You have to. We're judged late at night, which is in itself very different, and the bright lights, and personally, you have to make sure you have your dress and all that works together and doesn't get in the way of examining dogs or walking down that long pathway from one end of the breed to the next. And then for actual knowledge, no matter how much you read standards, you always read them again, because as comfortable as an individual might be with those, you never know. So standards change. There are nuances that are different. So yes, I'll be reading standards and trying to remember as much of the hallmarks of a particular breed as is possible. So that's what I'm doing to prepare.
Very exciting. Well, the Westminster Kennel Club Dog Show is going to be held February 8th through 11th back at Madison Square Garden, as you mentioned. And as I understand, tickets are already on sale.
That's terrific. That's terrific.
Get your tickets now, because it's back at the Garden. I expect it to be an absolute sellout. I had the honor of being there last year when it was at Arthur Ashe. I got to meet a lot of very interesting characters. There's all sorts of fun people who both attend and show and judge these events. So if we have some listeners out there, Janina, who may be considering starting to show their dog or breeding dogs, or maybe they've been showing dogs, they want to become a judge, do you have any advice for folks who may be just starting out on how to get involved at maybe a more local level?
Yes, because going to the garden is like the pinnacle of success. So you work your way up to that. And we all started out locally. So I can only tell you from my experience, I started out in 4 H, and then I was in junior handling, and then I showed and bred my own dogs. So I would recommend to anyone that you go to dog shows and watch and just observe and talk to people when they're done showing about what you're interested in. And certainly there is an avenue at the American Kennel Club where you can go in and visit with them, and you can go on their website and ask questions of experts that are there. Find someone in the breed that you are comfortable with, and that may take a little bit of time to find commonality among what your interests are. And just take your time and watch and see what you like. It's not as intimidating as you think. Some people find it very intimidating, but once you get comfortable with how dog shows are run and how it happens,
Mm-hmm.
you can fall right into it. And you individually can end up being very successful. A great number of people that compete at Westminster are normal, everyday people that own a very nice dog and started
Mm-hmm.
out and have reached the breed level there and have reached the group level. And we've had breeder, owner, handlers win best in show there. So it's totally possible.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you breaking it down for us to make it, feel more accessible and attainable for people who might have an interest or maybe a dream
Oh,
of
yeah.
showing a dog.
You have to think people, they see Westminster on TV and some of the larger shows, and it's like,
Mhm.
oh my God, I need sparkles. I need this.
Well, you do need sparkles. Let's be clear, you need sparkles.
But, the everyday run of the mill dog show is at a fairground for the most
Yeah.
part.
Yeah,
Yep.
So,
that's true.
Yeah, and
Well,
to echo the sentiment, I've had the opportunity to go to a few dog shows now, and everybody that I've spoken with, whether they were a handler or a breeder or a groomer or a judge, have been absolutely welcoming, ready and willing to share their knowledge and
answered all your
talk about
stupid
their
questions.
experience. Answer all my stupid questions about what makes a Chihuahua an award-winning Chihuahua, things like that. So it really is an awesome space, kind of its own little universe that
it is.
until you feel the gravitational pull, you may not even be aware it exists. So definitely
Yeah.
check it out at the local level. My understanding is you could just go straight onto the AKC website and see some of this information. Is that correct?
That's correct. And there are dog shows that are filmed on occasion, and you can just take a look and see what's going on. And the people that do that are also very good at
Yeah.
explaining to a level that everyone understands what's going on at the dog show.
And speaking of filmed dog shows, folks, Dog TV still has that archival footage of the old Westminster shows up on their channel. So if you want to see not just the current best in show, but the evolution of these different breeds and what used to win and what wins now, I found it to be a really cool experience, kind of watching some of the old clips, even going back to black and white. So that was really cool as well.
Oh, yeah, those are fun.
Yeah.
I enjoy watching those myself. So.
Well, and if you want to see Judge Janine judging at the Westminster, be sure to get your tickets now. And hopefully I'll get to come next year. Well, maybe I can be there with Chris this time, and we'll come look for you, Janine.
Oh, great. That would be
Janina,
great.
sorry, Janina.
All right,
Yes,
well,
yes,
that's
okay.
all the time we have. Janina, thank you so much for joining us. I will definitely be there. We're going to get Kristen up there too, and maybe we'll come find you for the herding group and get a follow-up interview.
Oh, that'd be fun. All right.
That would be a lot of fun. We'll see you down there. And again, folks, go ahead and buy your tickets. 149th Westminster Kennel Club Dog Show, February 8th to 11th at the world's greatest arena, Madison Square Garden. So go ahead and check that out. Janina, thanks again for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having me. Have a great day.
Bye now.
Coming out of that, I think we learned a lot. We learned a lot
Gosh.
from Janina, but I'm still stuck on the fact that corgis are judged next to German shepherds and collies.
I know.
Like when she mentioned that, I literally instantly opened another tab and I was like, "There's no way that's a
Right,
thing." And
right. Well,
it's absolutely true. These corgis
That's
are.
why I asked her to share some of the herding breeds, because I automatically think, I don't even think of shepherds. I automatically think of like Australian shepherds as a herding.
Well, yeah,
So-
but I mean, they got shepherd in the name, Kristen.
well,
I mean, come on.
I know, but that's like what I visualize in my head, so.
Okay, that's fair.
But,
Yeah.
speaking of corgis, there's more than one way to become a famous dog. And it's not just, Westminster Kennel Club Dog Show. You can also be a famous dog on Instagram. And you had a really interesting interview recently, didn't you?
Yes, with Bacon the Corgi. Basically, the Kanye West, the old Kanye West, not the new Kanye West, but the old Kanye West of corgis, decked out in the shutter shades and a bacon bow tie. I mean, just absolutely oozing swagger. So it was really cool to meet the dog, but also talk to Bacon's parents. So we're gonna go ahead and play that back for you all now. I'm joined now by John, Ginger, and of course Bacon, who is feeling mighty frisky, doesn't want to sit down, all excited for the second day of Super Zoo here as we conduct this interview. How are you guys doing today?
We're good.
Having a good time.
That's awesome. And Bacon is all decked out in all of his swag. I love the glasses. I love the look. What has inspired Bacon's look today?
Well, his name is Bacon.
There we go.
So we love to always be on trend and make him. You can't mistake his name that way. I've had his Instagram is a little bit different because it's Corgi Club Colton, so a lot of people get confused, and so that way when they know him as Bacon, so that way you can't miss this.
He's got a little mix of bacon and Vegas going on there. You know, if you notice the sparkle and the bling, he fits the theme.
Yeah, there's definitely some sparkle. There's definitely some pizzazz. Oh, that is, if you can't see that on camera, that's sequenced bacon on the handkerchief. I've never seen anything quite like that. So how did Bacon get his start as a celebrity? Was this always the goal? Did he kind of fall into it?
Really fell into it. We had our other dog Colton. That's why the Instagram is Corgi Club Colton that we lost in 2020. And John, my husband, actually started that account. I didn't do anything with it. We ran a Corgi club and just did meetups, and then everyone was getting onto Instagram. Thought it was something that everyone was doing. So I kind of started posting on there, and it took off. And then when we lost Colton, he just picked right up here. Get up, baby.
It was kind of funny because I had to tell her what Instagram was. I said, I started an Instagram for the dogs. And she's like, what's that? Why would I want to do that? And so I had to teach her how to use it. And then it was so funny because within a year, it just took off and exploded. And she was teaching me how to do it. Still is.
Yes. Just completely outpacing you as an influencer. Yeah. So what's it like being, not necessarily a celebrity yourself, but your dog somewhat having celebrity?
Oh yeah, I'm not a celebrity at all. I'm usually the one that gets pushed aside, and they're like, "Can you move so that he can be seen better?"
Get out of the shot.
But yeah, we have a lot of fun with it. We've gotten to do some really, really neat things and some cool opportunities, and so it's a blast. He loves it. He loves people. He loves the attention. And it's really, really fun to see the smiles that happen. I mean, we've connected with so many people on Instagram that we wouldn't have met otherwise. So I love it.
Oh my God. Bacon's dad. Like, finally, I have an identity in this world.
I can wield this name. I can be Bacon's dad.
I'll be Bacon's dad if that's what you want. Yeah.
That's great. Are there any particular memories that come to mind? Some really special stuff that has happened with you guys and Bacon that just really sticks out as like a core memory that you guys have because of the journey you've been able to go on?
There end up being a lot of them. We have a lot of family traditions, so we have different trips and different things that we do with them each year. And each one of those things is different. It's unique, but it's like its own experience where we're making special memories with the dogs, and we look forward to doing it each year. So it's like it's like it rolls from one thing to the next. I don't even have time to catch my breath and process the thing that just happened because then we're always on to the next thing. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, the people that we've gotten to meet, we love sports. We're a big sports family, so he's gotten to do stuff with the Phoenix Suns, with the Arizona Diamondbacks, with the Rattlers, and so it's just he's recently gotten in. He loves corgi racing. He doesn't win, but he is the most stylish dog there.
He has so much fun with it.
If they gave a trophy for that, he would always win. So yeah, it's the people and everything that we have met has just been so amazing.
Yeah, it's important to look good when you're racing. I used to run track, and that was rule number 1 was look good. Rule number 2 was run fast. So I think Bacon is doing quite well. Dogs are sort of taking over the internet, and I'd say slowly but surely, but it's been a rapid growth to their dominance over social media, TikTok and Instagram. Where do you guys sort of see Bacon and the other dogs on the internet? Where do you see that starting to go as we build momentum?
The one thing is we've always tried to be really careful with it, because our number one goal in doing any of it has always been for these guys to like just live their best life and have a lot of fun. So we've had to kind of just pull back on some of it, because you get all these brands want to do things and want to partner and want you to work with them, and we always have to just step back and look at it and say, hey, is this in his best interest? Is this something that he wants to do? Because the goal has always been for them to just live a great life, have lots of great experiences, be able to do things and have fun. So that's always the number one goal, is just be out there with the family and get a chance for him to just live life. And their lives are so much shorter than ours, so we have to fit a lot of stuff into very little time.
Yeah, I agree. I think that so we've gotten some more opportunities with partnerships that I never would have thought would be out there, and so I think just being very choosy and making sure that you do stuff that we stay authentic. I don't want it to be that we just sign up with anybody, and so I think that that's number one goal, always making sure he's staying happy.
Authentic Bacon. And where can all of our wonderful listeners follow Bacon's journeys?
We are on Instagram. It's at Corgi Club Colton.
At Corgi Club Colton. Thank you guys so much for taking the time out of your busy schedules to talk with me for a little bit. Thank you, Bacon, and Aspen, who's off camera. Thank you, Aspen, as well. And we're going to go back to more awesome pal stuff. And yeah, thanks for coming, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Pets add life.
So, Chris, I was checking out Bacon's Instagram account, which is Corgi Club Colton. And oh my God, this is beautiful. Are they professional photographers? These images are stunning.
So. I think this, like a lot of people, sort of all just kind of fell into their laps. The husband is a storm chaser. We talked a little bit about that in the interview. He goes into the plains and chases after storms, and Bacon's just over here. He's just vibing. Yeah. Bacon is a pure vibes dog. He was so funny during the interview, just trying to like find some comfort in his chair and being held, and absolutely adorable. I guess love meeting dogs like that with such like a big personality. It's addictive.
Right. That's great.
Yeah. Well, speaking of great and addictive things, Kristen, I think it's time for us to head on over to our product of the week. So let's go ahead, Ron, play that jingle, and we'll get into
product of the week.
Yeah, well, I got my product here, and we've been talking a bit on our previous show. We had been talking about animal obesity awareness, and I gotten this great question from, I believe, Emily, about some feeding strategies and things like that. So I found this really cool they call it the Squeak Carrot Snuffle Mat. And it is they call it a nosework feed game. So essentially it's this, think of it like a dog bed, big brown dog bed, and then a bunch of holes in it, and these like stuffed carrots, like these fabric stuffed carrots go into the ground, and they've got squeakies in them and stuff like that. But the holes are so that you could put some food under these carrots. It's really great for some of these like terrier mixes or other dogs that really just want to dig and tear into stuff. If you have a dog that goes outside and starts digging, I think this is a great toy for them. Especially maybe it's raining outside and you don't want to let your digger out because he's just going to go get into the mud. You can bust this bad boy out. You put some kibble in each of the holes and set it out and just let them figure it out. They got to, I believe there's some Velcro involved, so it's not as easy. They got to kind of work to pull it out and then stuff their nose down in there to find the food. It's just like one of those things. We talk about this a lot on the show about sort of stimulating an animal's natural instinct. So if your dog's natural instinct is to dig, they're digging for a reason. Some type of survival instinct is getting them to dig, whether they're looking for food or trying to get to cooler earth or anything like that. This is a great toy that's going to simulate that. Have it on Amazon here for $34. So it's really not going to break the bank. It looks and it just like looks cute too. Like it really does just like look like a little bed of carrots. So that's going to be my product of the week for this week.
I love that. That's a good
Yeah,
one.
what do you got for us, Kristen?
So I have a product of the week that actually was the founder jumped in on our Super Zoo show and tried, to like, he was supposed to be asking us a question and he weaved in his product. So he followed up with me after and he said, "Hey, I'm really sorry. I was just super excited about my product. So would you feature it on the product of the week?" So I said I would do that because
You're so kind.
I'm so kind. And I think it's super cool too, because, as we're in October, I forget the actual date when daylight savings time ends, but I think it's coming up in November. So it's going to get darker earlier. And oftentimes we're walking our dogs in the dark or at dawn or dusk. And it's helpful, not only convenience wise, but safety wise to have a flashlight. So this is called the Doggy Do-All. It is if you're watching on video, it's maybe 8 or 9 inches tall. It has several really cool features. So first of all, it has see that? It's got a
There we go.
500 lumens flashlight to guide your way.
That's a lot
in
of
the dark.
lumens.
It's a lot of lumens. And you know how many lumens the average cell phone flashlight has? Only 50. So this is 10 times brighter than your cell phone flashlight. It's also got like a strobe on it for safety. And then, I just blinded myself. Hold on, it won't stop flashing. It's also
It definitely works.
Yeah, it does. Oh my gosh, I'm seeing like bolts of lightning. It's got carabiners on it. It's got a belt clip, so you can just hook it onto your belt, or you can even hook this part onto your dog's leash. And one of my favorite parts is the built-in waste bag dispenser, so that you don't forget, and you can just unscrew this to refill it. And then finally, on the side, it has another flashlight that has 4 different modes. And this one is cool because I'm doing this wrong. Okay. Anyway, see, we got the red safety light.
High
but
vis.
it also does a white one, so you can set this down on the ground. You know how when your dog does his business on the grass in the dark and you're trying to find it to clean it up?
Yeah.
Well, this is designed to set it down on the ground and shoot the flashlight toward the pile so that you can easily clean it up. So anyway, it doesn't even take batteries. You can recharge it with the USB-C cable that it comes with, and it's called the Doggy Do-All. So
that's awesome. I love how many products are out there now that free up your hands while you're walking your dog. Because when I was living at home with my parents' dog, and you'd take the dog for a walk, it was like one hand was on the leash, one hand was on the poop bags, both used and new, and that was it. Like that was, you were stuck like that for the 20 minutes it would take the dog to go for a walk.
Exactly.
So I love this kind of stuff. And visibility is a big deal at night, especially. And here's the thing too. A lot of people think that it's just the nighttime you have to be careful. It's actually dusk and twilight is when visibility is the worst. Simply because lights aren't as effective in that twilight light. So something like a red light kind of hanging off your back, the back of your belt loop, can be an effective safety tool, especially if you're walking your dog somewhere where there might be cars.
Yeah, exactly. And one last thing, as a woman, I like this feature on the end here. Like, hopefully I would never need to use it, but this could sort of be a weapon.
Yeah, that's hefty. Like, if you right now, for those of you listening, Kristen is brandishing that thing towards me, and I feel threatened. I'll admit it. I feel threatened.
Q&As.
All right, we're gonna move on, and guess what time it is, Kristen?
Is it Q&A time when we answer your question?
It is Q&A time. This time you caught on. This time we got it. It is time for us to answer your questions, submitted, of course, on petsadlife.org/podcast. Go on down to the bottom of that page. You could submit your question right there. Or if you're feeling as brave as Kristen with a doggy do-all in her hand, you can record a voice memo and you could hear your question played live on this show.
And we know you have questions, so we are here for you. So,
we
Chris,
are here for you.
We usually decide in advance who's going to take which question. You just want to just wing it here?
Yeah, just wing it. You want me to hit you with one?
Yeah, hit me with hit me with one or One of the first couple that we have.
Yeah, I see a question on here that you don't want me to ask, and I'm not going to do that to you.
Okay.
I am kind. At the end of the day, I am kind because I could ask you this question right now,
know
and
you
you
could.
have
You could
to answer it. But
totally
I'm
throw
not
me under the
going to
bus.
do that. Instead, I'll ask. I got a question here, and I feel like you would do a good job answering this question because you share a name with the person who asked it. So this is a question from Kristen in Sacramento, California. And Kristen asks, my young puppy seems to be overly vocal, especially during training sessions. Is this a sign of frustration? And how can I effectively communicate with him to reduce barking without discouraging his enthusiasm?
Ooh, that's a good question. From my sister in name, Kristen in Sacramento. Thank you so much for that. So puppies barking, a common challenge. And you're saying he's especially doing it during training sessions. So that makes me think he's attention seeking. Typically training sessions, I'm going to assume this is a group class or something, where maybe there are several dogs and he's, overstimulated and perhaps just wanting your attention. So that could be what's causing it. The other thing too is if you're inadvertently rewarding his barking, that's not going to help you at all, because if he starts barking and then you immediately go to him and say, oh, stop barking, and just like getting in his face and giving him that attention that he's seeking, you are actually rewarding and reinforcing that behavior. So I would say, and this is going to sound easier said than done, but I know it works because I've done it with previous puppies that I've had. First of all, you want to reward him when he's quiet. So if he's barking, I would ignore him and ideally turn your back on him. And sometimes it might take a while, but as soon as he stops barking, give it a beat, a second or two, and then immediately reward him and tell him what a good boy or girl he is. So you want to reward when he's doing the behavior you like and kind of ignore the attention he's seeking when he's barking. And I'm thinking too that if he is in a group training environment, it could just be the overstimulation, especially if he's a younger puppy. So you might try some one-on-one training, or after class, go outside or go to your home and like sort of go through. You're supposed to practice anyway, right? After class. So kind of go through that with him on his own, where he might not feel like he's in such a competitive environment. So hopefully that's helpful, Kristen.
That's some great stuff. I wish I had something to add, but you were so exhaustive with your answer. You're such a professional that I'm at a loss. So we're just going to go ahead and say that between two Kristens, we're going to have our answer.
Alrighty. So, Chris, do you want to give any hints to what question you would like?
Yeah, no, you could give me the question that you were dreading.
Okay. Oh, goody.
I think I have an answer for it. Yeah.
Okay, super. All right, so this one's from Juan in San Jose, California. Juan says, I recently set up a freshwater aquarium and I've noticed that my fish seem less active and are hiding more frequently. Could this be a sign of stress, and what are some of the ways to create a more comfortable environment for the fish?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. And right off the bat, yes, hiding fish is usually like the number one sign of stress. And it's kind of funny to talk about stress in fish because it's like, I feel like as people, it's easy for us to tell when a mammal is stressed out, right? They're doing some of the same things, like a dog with anxiety, cat with anxiety. We can see it, but what's a fish with anxiety look like? Well, I'll tell you. Hiding for long periods of time, if fish are getting the zoomies, that's actually a sign of anxiety.
Fish do that?
They'll dart back and forth across the aquarium. But the only time fish really swim at max speed like that is when they think something's trying to eat them. So that's a sign of stress.
Makes sense.
If they're scraping across the ground, that could either be stress or some type of skin scale infection. And if they're not eating their food, something's wrong.
Right.
So now we've said, okay, the fish is stressed. Well, the reason a fish is stressed, it's different. Mammals, it's usually like something mental, right, that we got to kind of work through. I'm sorry to say this I'm going to say it. It's brave, but it's true. Fish don't have big brains. Okay. They don't experience emotion the way that we experience emotion. So we're using this word stress, and it is a good word because what is stress other than our environment being uncomfortable, right? Whatever position we're in, we're currently not comfortable. And it's the same with fish, but it's much more literal. Their environment is not comfortable. So make sure the temperature of your water is where it needs to be. Even a few degrees below or above is going to change the behavior of your fish. Make sure your water is getting oxidized properly. It's getting enough oxygen. If you see like your fish starting to surface every now and again, that's a bad sign. It means there's not enough air filtration going through your tank. Obviously, hiding places. Fish like to have little spots where they could go get away from prying eyes. And also, if you have just added new fish into your tank, that could be a cause for issues as well. You know what eats fish? Other fish. So when you introduce new fish into the environment, even though there may be no natural predator-prey ecosystem there, because they just really, that's not how these fish would interact. Again, fish are not necessarily that intelligent. They're going off instinct, and they see something that maybe slightly larger than them or something unknown, and they assume that they're in danger because that's simply how they work. So make sure you're providing a nice, comfortable tank experience for your fish. If you're listening to this and you're not Juan, you're listening to this and you're going to start something new, you're going to start a tank, start with just one species, something simple like a gobby or man, I can't think of the word right now, but it's not goldfish. Goldfish are actually a
Bettafish?
hard. No, the bettafish are hard too because they got to be by themselves. The gobbies, and it's a type of minnow, but you don't say minnows are like, it's not the right term. But just, you know what? Go to a store and ask somebody who knows what the heck they're talking about. Go to a store, ask somebody who knows what they're talking about. But there's great starter fish that you could use, and you could keep it nice and simple. But check the environment, make sure all the stats are nice. And thank you. That was Juan, right? Juan from
thanks for the question.
San Jose. Thanks a lot.
And thank you, Chris, for answering the fish question so that I didn't have to.
I
feel like for me, fish are like plants. Like I can't keep a plant alive, and I don't know that I could keep fish alive. So
we've got a plant that is actually doing well, and it's the first time ever. It's a Monstera variant. And it's now growing another little stem. It's a second new stem that is grown under our care. So we're feeling very accomplished over the plant.
Congratulations.
Very, very accomplished. But hey, listen, that's the end of our show. Who would have thunk that we made it to the end of a show? Yet again, another Tuesday in the book. So if you're listening to this, hop into the social media comments. Get involved in the conversation. We got Halloween coming up. We want to see pets in costumes. We want to see matching costumes between pets. We want to see like a cat dad as Batman, cat as Robin. I want to see it, people. And if you are listening to the show, share it with a friend. Give us a nice 5-star review. Tell us all the wonderful things. Give us some nice compliments. I gobble those up.
Love it. And until next week, we will be coming up with some more great products and guests for you. So go.
So go.
Sorry.
So go.
So go.
I mean, go.
I'm sorry. It's at the end. I haven't eaten lunch. I'm getting my brains fried.
Then I'll do the send-off. As always, be kind to yourself and be kind to your animals, and we will see you back here next Tuesday.
Bye-bye.
Go!
Just go.
Pets add life.